Steve here at West Green. Welcome back to my channel. If you like my videos, please give us a like, because I like that. Subscribe, and I always like comments, especially ones which are constructive criticism, because I don't know everything. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to spray my tender for my B1. I've been doing a lot of experimenting and reading up on stuff and trying stuff and trying to sort of eliminate what I consider things which could get in the way, like pollution, dust, moisture, all that sort of stuff. So here's the tender I'm going to be spraying. I've masked it all up. What I'm going to do before I spray it, I'm going to just blow it off with the compressor, because you don't know what bits are on there. And I've found sometimes, even when you've got a great surface, all of a sudden you find there's something on there what the paint just doesn't stick to. So yesterday I cleaned all this up. I'd already primed it, but I cleaned it up with Jif again, and I dried it all off, and then I put another coat of this export primer over it, which is not a it's not an etch primer like this one. But one thing I noticed is this one doesn't give such a nice surface as this. So what I found out, this is only by accident, I thought I'll spray it with this because you need to give it an etch, and then I'll just go over it with this, and it gives a nice, it's almost like a satiny sheen on it. So it's quite a nice surface, not rough at all. So there you go. So let's walk out into my where my model railway is, West Green. And here's my spray booth, homemade, but that's all right. So what I've done first, this is just air conditioning filter. There's one of those little squirrel cage, you know, fans, and it's got a 4-inch duct on it, which I've said before, goes down there, out through the wall. But what I did this morning, I came in here, I pulled that off. Actually, I really need to get some more filter, but I pulled it off and just hit it against the wall, and the dust what came out of it. So, and then I decided, well, what I'll do, I hosed it down. So I hosed it down, let it dry, and then I went around with a compressor, and also with one of those little nozzles. I had about 100 psi, and I blew all this out, and I brushed it out, and in other words, what I've tried to make sure I'm going to do is make sure there is no dust, or at least as best as I can get it. I'll be using an Iwata Revolution CR. It's got a 0.5 needle connected to I could use this compressor, but I've decided, no, I'm going to use, this turns on and off too much. So I've got this Black Ridge compressor. It pumps up to 40 litres at 100 psi, but I'm only using 20, so it's not going to really turn on while I spray, so that's good. I'm just prepping myself before I paint. What I'm going to do too is, once it's painted, I don't want to touch it, I don't want to do anything. Once it's painted, I'm going to plonk this over the top. That way it can dry without dust settling. I've also, when I made this compressor, spray booth, I actually got this is what I call it, shade cloth. It's plastic. So I've made that so that's pinned on, so that I can pull the flap down, just anything to stop dust, anything. Anyway, let's go inside. I'm going to mix some paint. So here I've got some toilet roll. This is actually good for, you know, cleaning up paint off, wiping things down. It's cheaper than paper towel and plenty of it. I've got my electric drill, and it's nothing genius about this. This is my paint stirrer. It's just a piece of brass rod with a piece of brass soldered to the end of it. Now, I used to put it in the Dremel. Problem is, even at the slower speed, the Dremel goes too quick. The other problem with the Dremel is you can't put it in there, turn it on with one hand and hold it in here. But with this, I can hold the bottle, put this in the chuck, put it in, then slowly turn it. Less mess, because I can tell you what, I've had an accident once, paint went everywhere. So there's my paint. This is Humbrol. Oh, I was going to get Humbrol 21 gloss black, but when I went down the hobby shop, they didn't have any, and I wanted enamel, right? So I got this. This is Tamiya X1, which is in a gloss enamel, and sometimes I've got my doubts about Humbrol paints, especially, I'll tell you what, the varnishes. I don't know what's happening with those varnishes, but there's something odd going on with them. So I'm going to mix it up. So in like that. It's pretty well mixed anyway. Look at that. There's no glug on the bottom. As I said, you can hold this. There you go. So that's all nice and clean. So I've finished with that. I must admit, glass bottles or jars I like, because tinlets, well, I bought something. Oh, it's not exactly rock. It's not exactly the most technical thing in the world. I just got a special lid, a Humbrol lid, and it's over here. So I made this out of a jar. So this is Humbrol, but it fits a lot of. So I made this. So if this was a Humbrol tin full up, I could mix it in there, put that lid on, and pour it out into without getting all the paint in there. Yeah, I know you can use syringes, and people do, but I haven't got any of those. So that's my method for now. So what I've got to do is mix the paint now. I'm going to start about 50-50. Thinners, I'm going to use white spirit. I've got enamel thinners, but even Phoenix Precision say to use white spirit. And you know, one thing I wouldn't do is buy these little piddly tins of specialised thinners like Humbrol thinners. I'll tell you what, it's dearer than single malt Scotch whisky, that stuff, and it's just thinners. And I know so many people who professional painters who say, look, just buy bog standard white spirit or even enamel thinners. I actually got 4 litres of white spirit, sorry, 4 litres of enamel thinners from Super Cheap Auto for, it was normally $50, I got it for $24, so I got that. Actually, I might just try this instead. I got this syringe here. Wonder how I go with this. How much have I got? Let's have a look. Well, there's a mark there, so I'm going to put this in here. So I've got 2 syringe full, 2 lots the same amount as that, so I'm going to put thinners in. It's a bit more. I have no idea if this is alright or not. Well, it doesn't stick on the glass. Like if it was too thick, it would stick on the glass a lot longer if the viscosity of the paint. But that tends to run down. I don't know. Maybe just a bit more thinners. I don't know. Stevie boy, you gonna muck it up? Hold on. Is this gonna work? I'm not going to put all this in. I think that's probably going to be all right. So it's a bit over 50% thinners in that. And I'm going to be spraying about 22 psi. Okay, so I brought it out here. I couldn't find any gloves, so I've got this plastic bag I put on my hands because I don't want to touch the model. I wash my hands. Let's just give it a bit of a... Let's just go over it with a bit of just air. So I'll start on the underside of the tender. Well, it appears to be going on pretty well. As I said, do the underside first. I'll do the frames. Well, that appears to be okay. Perfect? Huh, I don't think so. So I've done the top, the front, and the back. Perfect? Don't think so, but anyway. Actually, since I've cleaned this up, I find that the fumes are going in much better than they were. So obviously, as I said, I need to get another piece of this. One thing I find really difficult of being gloss black, you can never have enough light. Sometimes you look at it and you think, have you missed it? But really, it's just shining in the light, and so you haven't missed it at all. But look, I don't know. It's better than I've ever got it before. Whatever has happened. So let's put this over it. So I've tidied everything else. A couple of jobs to do. Is open the drain valve. I always do that. There we go. Always funny, look at that, bits of ice coming out, look at that. That's ice. So here's a jar, I've got a little jar I clean my paintbrushes out in, and then I clean that out, and I always empty that and slosh it in here, and this settles and you get muck at the bottom, and that's terps and God knows what else in there. But I actually do use it, not only for cleaning brushes, but if I'm going to weather a loco, using blacks, and I normally use rust browns and God knows what else, but I thin it with this stuff because this has got impurities and it taints the paint, so it actually aids. It's like a bit of natural weathering. So I actually use that to thin paint for weathering. Not because I'm tight, but I just find it helps. Here's one I've done. But this is the first loco. This is my first loco, O gauge loco I ever built. This is 20 years old. A bit dusty earlier. This was a 4-track model. Then it's now Gladiator. But if you go to the Gladiator website, you'll see this loco. And it's got my name on it. It says Photo Steve Rowe. That's because it's mine. Anyway, so I'm quite happy with that. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm busting to have a look at that, my tender, but there's the problem, isn't it? You want to touch it too soon. So there you go. It's underneath there. I put a bit of timber underneath, just so I can get a bit of airflow in. Hopefully no dust, it's inside. Just a good bit of airflow in. The temptation is, will I look at it this afternoon? Or will I be a good boy and just leave it overnight? Because however it's turned out, and that's it. So we'll have a look later, hopefully tomorrow. Well, I'm back. So I've done the tender. It actually dried pretty quick. Now, just looking at it, I'm pretty critical of stuff. I've got, look, it's glossy, but I've still got a bit of orange peel in it. Even though I had my paint down to about 60% thinners and 40% paint at 22 psi. Now either it's still not thin enough, or I'm doing something wrong, or I'm expecting too much. So I don't give up easy. Like everything else, apart from reading a few books on the subject, and in particular reading Ian Rathbone's book on painting and lining model locos, I've then got to take that information and try it for myself. Because just reading a book doesn't help you. You've actually got to give it a go and get a feel for it. So what I'm going to do now, I've set up my airbrush outside. I've got some gloss photo paper, and I'm going to just spray those up. And I may add some more thinners to that paint and see what happens. So this is pre-mixed paint. Oh, well, I mixed it myself. It's probably about at least 50% thinners. And in the glass jar, you can see how it runs down. It's not, I wouldn't say it's thick, but maybe it's a bit too thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a test spray on a piece of paper. I've got my compressor set to 22 psi, and I'm going to see how I go, and then I'm going to do another one and add a bit more thinners. So I've added a bit more thinners. Let's try this. So this is going to be my last test of the day. Let's put that in. I'm going to make it thinner. So that runs down the glass pretty quick. I'm going to try it. I've got nothing to lose. It's only a bit of paper. So I think I'm going to conclude for today. I've learned a lot today. I'm going to be a novice one day. I keep telling that line. No, if nothing else, could give me 10 out of 10 for keeping trying. And it's insanity to keep trying the same thing, which doesn't work. So I try different things. The problem I've got with airbrushing is there's so many variables. And I think you've got to come to a point where if there's 3 or 4 variables, you need to sort of anchor one down. Otherwise, you think, well, was it because this was too high and that was too low, or you know what I'm saying? So you've got to. So I started off by mixing the paint 50-50 and using about 20 psi. I still think at 50-50 the paint was still too thick. So what I did is I've actually sprayed up some this is photo paper. Now one of the problems with photo paper is to start off with, it's not exactly, if you look at a piece of photo paper, it's got a texture to it anyway. And you'll certainly see that with airbrushing. Airbrushes don't hide blemishes. Even if there's a scratch in the model, it will come through unless you use some thick body filling type of primer. I suppose you could get rid of it that way, but oh, let's hang that up. So this, I think that was the last one I did. I ran out of paint anyway. So I tried keeping the air pressure consistent. Then I was thinking, am I laying the paint on too wet? Am I putting it on, you know, should I put a coat on, let it dry out a bit, then put another coat on? As I said, look, I'm aiming to get an absolute, I'd like to get an unblemished gloss finish. Quite why, I don't know, because once my models are finished, they're not going to be gloss anyway. You're going to tone them down to what I would call not a matte finish, but sometimes not even a satin. Some satins look a bit too glossy for me. Probably a bit, I suppose eggshell is what I'm after, if that's a good term. So here's one. Well, let's turn the camera around. Let's just turn this on. So this, I think this might have been the first one I've done. Some of it's okay. I can't remember what pressure I used now. I think this was where the paint was a bit too thick. That's okay, but as you can see, and maybe it's just I haven't gone over it enough. This was one of the last ones I've done. As I said, you can see the sort of you can see the graininess in the paper. That waviness is not the paint, it's the paper. So again, parts of it okay. And let's look at the last two. I actually thinned the paint right down. Probably, you know, probably more than all the experts who've never painted everything will tell you. They'll always say, oh yeah, you let it down this much. And when you ask if they've done any painting, they say, oh no, but I read it in a book somewhere, or someone else told me. Well, that doesn't help me. So there's too many armchair experts. So anyway, look, this one, this was pretty thin paint. And as I said, you can see the that effect, that's got nothing to do with the paint. That is, let's see if I can get a bit of paper. So here's an unblemished piece of paper, i.e. I haven't mutilated it. And you can see, let's see if I can get it up to the light here. Hang on. I don't know if I'm going to do it. Anyway, I can see it, but there's waves in the, you know, it's not exactly a perfect finish to start off with. It's got, oh, you can see it now. There's the little waves. So I'm not going to get that out. But I guess what I want is a finish where when I look at it, I can comb my hair. It's a joke. I can comb my hair. Oh, I don't even go 10-pin bowling anymore. Last time I went, someone stuck their fingers up my nose. Cheeky monkey. Anyway, look, but that's a pretty good finish. I mean, there's always little bits in it. I don't know, it don't matter what I do, I get bits. Anyway, look, that's it. If my videos help someone, if my videos think, oh, we should try this or try that, all well and good. Learn by my mistakes. Learn, because I'm still learning and I still haven't got it right yet. Do you like the joke about the bowling alley in my head? I'm a sad person.